Um, Good morning, everybody in Belgium. Good afternoon, people in Bangladesh and in India. I'm welcoming you for our webinar on Bangladesh, one of the fastest growing economies. I am Babette Desfossé. I am the Trade and Invest Commissioner for Flanders Investment and Trade. I'm based out of Delhi. And we also have Bangladesh in our jurisdiction. So the program for today, first we will have Mr. Saifullah Sam from the Embassy of Bangladesh in Brussels, who will give us an overview about the economy in Bangladesh. Then Dr. Arif Dola, who is our Honorary Consul of Belgium in Bangladesh and also the Manager Director of ACI Limited, will give us an insight in business opportunities for Flemish companies in Bangladesh. Then Mr. Cheki from Credendo will enlighten us on the implications of low foreign reserves and commercial risks when doing business with Bangladesh. That will be followed by Mr. Moshadek Alam, who will give us a case study and explain also about introducing companies into trading operations in Bangladesh. Then we have two Flemish people, Mr. Jerry Emons and Mrs. Brunilde Descon, who will explain us about how it is, their experience about working and living in Bangladesh. And then myself, I will, to end the webinar, give you an insight in the mission that we are preparing for 2023, end of March, to bring Flemish and Walloon companies to Bangladesh. So I will now give the word to Mr. Assam, as said, from the Embassy of Bangladesh in Brussels.
Good morning from Brussels and good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to be here today with you and do it virtually though. Since the outbreak of COVID, we are still negotiating in the virtual platform. For me, it turns to be very difficult sometimes. My sincere thanks to the Commissioner of Flanders Investment and Trade for organizing this seminar. As per the program in my presentation, I'm supposed to focus on the theme Bangladesh is fast growing economy. Upward trajectory in all substantial macroeconomic indicators of Bangladesh over a decade or more, I would say certainly it demonstrates that Bangladesh is in fact a fast growing economy. Am I loud and clear, please?
You're perfectly clear, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. If you please allow me, I'll be using some PowerPoint slides for my presentation. Given the time limitation, I would be focusing on some economic indicators rather than going into deeper details. I'd rather touch upon some indicator instead of going to the details of this investment opportunities in Bangladesh, because I think that some of our colleagues are also presenting on the investment opportunities in Bangladesh, and I guess all the presentation complements or supplements each other. And I'm assuring you that I shall not keep you waiting for a long time. Is it clear, please? Is my PowerPoint slides open for everybody?
No, at this point we can't see it.
Is it okay now?
It's coming online. It's fine now, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to flip it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me start off with a good news and a cheering note. Bangladesh is all set to become a middle income country by 2026. It is qualified in 3 categories set by the UNCPD, which is per capita gross national income, GNI, the Human Asset Index, HAI, and the Economic Vulnerability Index. We as a citizen shared and cherish this phenomenal achievement of Bangladesh. Okay, thank you very much. Bangladesh is growing rapidly and steadily over a decade on its way to become an Asian tiger. Currently, it is the 41st largest economy in the world and set to become a 25th largest economy by 2035. If I may have your kind attention. Bangladesh has been registering average of 7% annual GDP growth rate in the last 5 years, while the growth rate slipped to 3.45% in 2019 and 20 due to the obvious reason of the global pandemic, and very encouragingly it picked its growth to almost 7% again, demonstrating a V-shaped recovery. Such recovery essentially demonstrates the country's economic resilience. For per capita income, GNI 2020-21, it was $2,227. I would use the separate slide to show the per capita GNI and its trend. I'm sure you're all aware of the huge pool of our population are now employed overseas, working in different countries and different capacities. Bangladesh as such receives a significant amount of foreign remittance, amounting to almost $25 billion a year. This is one of the important components of our country's economy. If I may add, Bangladesh is by and large 7th largest foreign remittance earner globally. In terms of forex reserve, I would deliberately use the data before the Ukraine war, because we are now living in a very unpredictable situation where every country individually and the world collectively are hit hard. Although current statistics is $34 billion due to the unusual spike in import bills, especially the energy bills. However, the pre-crisis statistics would give a reasonable picture to understand the economic fundamentals. Then inflation, which is 5.56%, remains moderate and reasonable to indicate the stable domestic economy. I am sure you are all aware of Standard & Poor's, Moody's and Fitch, the three most significant rating agencies in the world, which rate the creditworthiness of countries and private enterprises. All these three agencies put Bangladesh in the category of stable sovereign rating. I would happily add that 90% of business, either local or foreign, expressed their high confidence in a survey in doing business during COVID-19. If I may have your kind attention to a recent report of Boston Consulting Group, the US-based global management consulting firm Boston & Consulting Group, BCG, in a report titled $1 Trillion Prize, Local Champions Leading the Way, published in just last month. It mentions, I quote, with an average growth of 6.4% over the last 6 years, Bangladesh has already become an emerging economy, outpacing Vietnam, Indonesia, India, and Thailand. Now the country is poised to become a $1 trillion economy by 2040. Even its growth drops to 5% during this time. And if a 10% growth continues, the country may reach this milestone by 2030. If I may add, as per recent report, current nominal GDP size is almost $460 billion, which put Bangladesh in the 35th position in the world. This report also mentions, I quote, Bangladesh is reaping economic benefits one after another from its large consumer class, young population, high-level economic stability, resilience of people, progress in digital methods, and fast expansion of private sector. This report of an independent body essentially indicates the economic health of this country. You may now see the composition of GDP and its trends. You can see the growth remains steady, upward, except for the hardest year of global pandemic. I would particularly draw your kind attention to the jump to recovery. This V-shaped recovery essentially indicates the fundamental strength and inherent vitality of our country's economy. As you can see, in years of per capita income increases more than 5 times. As I mentioned before, in this slide, you can see the growth and trend of our per capita GNI, which of course demonstrate the upward trajectory of the countries, as well as the trend of its development journey. Despite COVID-19 and unwanted consequences of volatile global situation, Bangladesh still right in the growth track. And if I also mentioned that almost in 15 years time, the global per capita GNI Bangladesh almost 5 times higher than that of 2006 and 7. Let me turn into some technical indicators to eventually give an idea of potential market connections. With more than 165 million population, Bangladesh itself is a huge market. In terms of its population, economic potential, affluent middle class, and consumers, it is indeed a potential market. Let me give you some empirical evidence to put it into perspective. Currently, Bangladesh is the 7th largest populous country in the world. With a stable economic growth, it has a huge number of middle class and affluent people. Half of its population now living in urban areas. More than 47.61 million have internet access, while 45 million actively use social media. The potential extends even beyond the domestic market, even beyond the borders. In fact, 3 billion plus consumers can easily be reached in this region. The reason I'm telling that Bangladesh is notably a strategic hub linking India, China, and Asian countries. I would also focus on some other indicators that essentially relates to the country's economic performance and strength. Bangladesh is now self-sufficient in food production. I would say it is a remarkable achievement given the number of population and geographical size. In terms of vegetable production, it stands second largest in the world. And notably, Bangladesh now hosts second largest pool of IT workers. Electricity coverage is now 100%. It is now the 3rd largest fish producing country in the world and the 3rd largest apparel makers. And Bangladesh, you all know that Bangladesh brand has earned global reputation. In other fronts, like extreme poverty came down to 10.5%, and it registered smallest gender pay gap in South Asia. In terms of disaster management, Bangladesh is a champion by any standard. When it comes to economy, demography is inseparable. It is in fact a critical component of a country's economy. In Bangladesh, 63% of the country's population are of working age group. Infrastructure is exponentially expanding for smoother business operation, ranging from communication structure to economic zones, and Bangladesh is also building 39 high-tech parks. And Bangladesh government has given a significant emphasis on infrastructure development. I would take the opportunity to touch upon few points related to investment opportunities in Bangladesh. Bangladesh ensures investment protection. It allows unrestricted entries and exit. The country offers flexible tax regime. In fact, it offers tax exemptions and tax holidays in different forms. It also offers fiscal incentive. For example, cash incentive for the export-oriented industries. It has dedicated export development fund. To accelerate investment, it also offers non-fiscal incentives as well. Bangladesh has currently bilateral investment treaties with 33 countries and the double taxation treaties with 37 countries. I thank you again for allowing this opportunity. I hope I have not bothered you much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Assam. I don't think you bothered us. I think you gave us a very informative and a clear presentation, and thank you for that. So now I want to give the floor to Dr. Arif Dola. As said, he's our honorary consul of Belgium in Bangladesh because we don't have an embassy in Belgium. In Bangladesh, we only have an honorary consulate. And he's also the managing director ACI Limited. Dr. Dola, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Am I audible? Thank you.
Mr. Dola, we hear you loud and clear. Only your camera is covered, so We cannot see you.
Okay. Okay, let me start speaking while we fix that. My camera is covered. My camera is covered. Okay, fix that. Okay, so what I want to, I didn't prepare a presentation because I thought the duration was a little bit, I want to say what is happening in Bangladesh in terms of
Dr. Dola.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Mr. Dola, are you still there?
I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Perhaps we can then first go to the next speaker, and then while this gets arranged with the camera. Is that okay?
It's fine for me.
Okay, fine. So Mr. Cheki, he's a senior country and sector risk analysis analyst for Credendo, and he will give us an insight in the implication of low foreign reserves and commercial risks when doing business with Bangladesh.
Okay, thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your presentation is very clear.
Okay, good. So good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to take part to this webinar on an interesting and dynamic country like Bangladesh. Here, of course, as I'm presenting Credendo, I will give you an assessment under the risk angle, and I will also give you a short focus on the liquidity situation at the moment in Bangladesh. Obviously, in the country, I just want to, just a moment, switch to the next slide. It's possible. Slides are not moving. Ah, okay, now it's moving. Okay, good. Yes, so as I wanted to say, as in the rest of the world, the war in Ukraine is affecting also Bangladesh and its economic recovery. Obviously, it is affecting through higher food and fuel prices, and also indirectly, what we might see next year is also the impact on the external demand, which is also very important for the exports of Bangladesh. Bangladesh, of course, is hit hard by those higher prices and imports because it is a net fuel importer, and which is also leading to some shortages as well. And also by the strong US dollar, which makes, of course, energy imports even heavier. So those have been leading to a widening of the trade deficit this year, and of course affecting foreign exchange reserves, which have been on a decline this year. There is also an impact on the public finances, and to ease the burden, there has been a decision to sharply cut for fuel subsidies. And in this context, the authorities requested the support from the IMF during the summer, and they obtained a 42 months loan. of 4.5 billion US dollar, which are aimed to stabilize the economy and also fight against climate and increase the resilience against climate change. So in this context, we are about to downgrade Bangladesh from 3 to 4 for our own rating of short-term political risk. The level of 4 will still be a moderate level. And it is about to be implemented very soon. I just want to stress that this short-term political risk, in fact, is an evaluation of the liquidity situation in a country. It's important to highlight. Just now, a focus on those foreign exchange reserves, which indeed have been on a negative trend. As you can see on the graph, in fact, we are close back to the pre-COVID levels. External liquidity is still judged to be rather good. And external debt service is also low, which is important to highlight at times of high external debt levels globally. And for sure, the situation cannot be compared to neighboring countries like Pakistan or Sri Lanka. That has to be also mentioned. However, foreign exchange reserves indeed are under a negative trend on the export and import side. Because not only export receipts are under pressure, foreign exchange reserve still recently were used to defend the local currency, the taka. And then on the import side, which is really making the difference in terms of liquidity, is that they have soared because of higher energy imports, which means that the import cover that used to be 7 months before this year now have turned into 4 months, so it's quite a big decline, obviously, and that's certainly probably explain why the authorities requested cautiously the support from the IMF quite recently. So in response, of course, the central bank has taken various measures. One of those is to let notably the taka depreciate, but also it has introduced some import restrictions on non-essential goods, for example, the luxury goods. But until now, we can say that those mitigating measures have not really prevented this decline in foreign exchange reserve to continue, and that's why we might expect a further strengthening of those measures should the liquidity situation deteriorate further in the coming months. We might also see some encouragement to increase the remittances that the country received from abroad, notably from the Gulf countries, to support the current account receipts in the country. Another reaction, of course, it's something I already mentioned, is that indeed Bangladesh is seeking from some external support to allow the liquidity to remain at adequate levels. I already mentioned the IMF, but they're also seeking other support, notably from other multilaterals like the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, for example. Something we will look at, of course, next year is the remittances and the garments, because they both represent about 80% of the current account receipt of the country, which is huge. The remittances had a very big rebound last year, but now it seems that the remittances, even if it's not yet visible on the graph, might experience a small drop this year and might remain under pressure as well next year. And for the garments, as you can see, after the COVID shock, they have rebounded substantially since then. But we fear that the expected recession, notably in the EU, might affect the demand for garments next year. And that's why we don't exclude a downgrade of the short-term political risk next year. Now, the business environment risk, it's another of our own indicator internally. And here as well, we are at a moderate risk in D, on a risk scale from A to G. G being the highest level. So we are in D at the moment. And this level is explained by the deterioration external and domestic demand, which is impacting, of course, notably the GDP growth in the country. The IMF recorded a 7.2% last financial year. Now they expect 6% in the current financial year. And this figure might still be revised downward, of course, depending on how the global economy will behave next year. Also, it's important to mention that there have been some power cuts in the country, notably because of the high energy prices, and they might also have some disruption on the economic activity. Another point, of course, to mention domestically is, as everywhere, in fact, the increased living cost and the inflation, which has reached, as you can see on the graph, much higher levels than they used to have in the past. Now we are about 9%, driven by high food and fuel prices. And here I really have to stress that it's not something specific to Bangladesh. It's really more specific in Asia to South Asia, where you have the highest inflation rates. And this can be explained by the fact that those countries in the sub-region are largely net fuel importers. They have a high share of food in the consumer price basket. They are running wider current account deficits and so also suffer from sharper currency depreciation. This is visible on the graph when you see the evolution of the taka this year after years of stability. The taka indeed has been devalued several times by a slight margin, but still over the whole year we have a depreciation of about 20% so far, also against a strong US dollar. And in reaction, the central bank has been hiking its interest rates to mitigate the impact of inflation and on taka depreciation. This policy might also remain next year if inflation remains at those higher level. Now, let me end also on a very short word on the medium to long-term outlook, so the medium political risk rating. We are here also in a moderate level in 4, which is quite a good level, certainly. And here I want to stress that indeed, as it was already mentioned in the first presentation, we have a still positive outlook on Bangladesh, and certainly I think one of the biggest features is the resilience, which has been very impressive over the past 2 decades. We're just looking by the strong economic performances with a 6.4% average of GDP growth between 2012 and 2021. The government sector is also very resilient. Workers' remittances are massive, and it's also a very important supportive factor in times of external shocks. And then very importantly as well, external debt remains at very low level. Again, it's a big advantage when you compare to many of the countries worldwide where external debt is very concerning. On the other side, we have also, of course, some downside risk, liquidity pressures and persisting higher fuel prices. I've already mentioned them. The public finances are constrained by quite modest government revenues, around 10% of the GDP, which is quite low, certainly in absolute and relative terms, because it allows a lower fiscal space when the country needs more supportive stimulus to launch in times of more economic difficulties. And then 2 long-term structural challenges that remain: the need of more diversification beyond the garment sector, and then of course the impact of climate change, which is of course about to rise over the coming years and decades in the country, notably. So just to sum up in conclusion, yes, Bangladesh is encountering difficult economic times. I would say a bit like in the rest of the world. but has the chance to start from rather strong fundamentals, so that it has also probably the possibility to withstand those shocks again, even if, of course, the 2023 should be a challenging year for the country. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. I think you brought it in a very apprehendable way, so thank you for that. So now I want to give the floor to Mr. Mossadegh Alam. He's the Additional Director for Communications and Advocacy at Build. They're a company who are actually, one of the things they do is helping European or Western companies to set up in Bangladesh, but also to help them with setting up their trading operations. So, Mr. Mossadegh, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Bebed. Let me start my presentation. Let me just share the presentation first, then I start. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Alam, we can hear you loud and clear, and your presentation is also up.
Thank you so much. So this is Mossadegh Alam, Additional Director for Communications and Advocacy, a business initiative leading development Build. I also work for the Austrian Embassy Commercial Section in Bangladesh, supporting the Austrian companies since 2017. So I will be speaking around my previous presenter, Mr. MD Saiful Azam, has already touched the current status of Bangladesh. So I'll be slightly focusing on this, and then trade between Bangladesh and Belgium, then market opportunities for Belgian companies in Bangladesh, then Bangladesh in global indices and market entry strategy, then some examples and case studies. So this is the health of the Bangladesh. We are going to reach to middle income country in 2026. And we aspire to be the upper middle income country by 2031 and developed country by 2041. So Bangladesh is very much on the track to become a 5 billion economy. Currently it is 460 billion. So these are the some indicators. Our GDP is currently 409. Per capita income is 2,555. Life expectancy is 72. Our reserve was in 2021, it is 44. Following the global crisis, we are in a difficult situation, but yeah, we are coming back to the normal situation. And our fertility rate is 2, and agriculture output is 5. So here are some comparison between among Bangladesh, India, and Malaysia. So Bangladesh is 6.4, India is 3.9, and Malaysia is 2.5. So jumping to the next one, this is the Bangladesh economy. The target, the government of Bangladesh set the target by 2041. By 2041, our per capita income is targeted US dollar 12,000. Growth rate is 9.9%. FDI to GDP is 3%. Private investment to GDP is 36.9%, and our export is targeted to be 300 billion plus. So then these are the global indicators. As per the Global Competitiveness Index, country ranking 2029, Bangladesh is holding 105th position. As per the Trade Economy Index, Bangladesh is ahead of India, Vietnam, China, that is 125. So this is also the Bangladesh in Global Skills Index, and another one is labor productivity of South Asian economics. Then this is the import story of Bangladesh. See, our country was born in 1971, where our import was nearly zero. Now we are importing 71 billion. And you see there is a sharp rise from 2000 to 2000. This is the import of Bangladesh, and then this is the trade between Bangladesh and Belgium. So currently, Bangladesh export to Belgium is 900 million, and in the last year, our export to Belgium was 615 million. On the other hand, Belgium export to Bangladesh in 2022 was 116, and the previous year it was 189. So basically, Bangladesh, Belgium exports to Bangladesh the items that I have just charted here: the pharmaceutical products, machinery, iron and steel, cereal, optical, photo, technical, medical spirits, residues, photographic and cinematic goods, vegetables, soaps, plastics, miscellaneous chemical products, staining, electrical and electronic equipment, commodities, organic chemicals, and dairy products, live animals, mining products, and man-made fibers and mineral fuels. So there are some other products that maybe you can see in the link that I have shared here. Next is, these are the major imports of Bangladesh. Basically, since Bangladesh is an RMG-led country, we import cotton is 12%, machinery item is 11%, mineral fuels 8%, electrical machineries is for 7%, iron and steel is 4%, plastic is 4%, vehicles 3%, man-made fibers 3%, animal or vegetable fats and oils 3%, cereals 3%, and others 42%. This is the import value USD. And these are the promising sectors, leading commercial sectors for Belgium companies. Russia-Ukraine war opened new windows, maybe for also Belgium companies. Power, energy, agricultural equipment, infra development and engineering services, defense security equipment and services, port management, machines, shipbuilding, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. Also, the skimmed milk powder for food industries. So these are the there are some other sectors who are open to investment and trading opportunities, but these are very promising for the Flemish companies, I believe. Here we show the market entry strategic consideration for the Flemish companies. While you are thinking about Bangladesh, maybe distribution and sales partner, maybe the number one step for you to start doing trading operation in Bangladesh. For this, maybe you can appoint a Bangladeshi firm or individual as an exclusive or non-exclusive agent or distributor. The local agent or the distributor should be reputable, imaginative, active, politically astute, and technically competent. Otherwise, you can, secondly, you can also establish a liaison office acting as a channel of communication. This liaison office basically is approved by Bangladesh Investment Development Authority and Bangladesh Bank. And secondly, maybe you can think about selling factors, the selling factors and techniques, modalities for Bangladesh. Basically, here is the protocol is consumer goods are promoted and sold primarily through distributors based in Dhaka to a price-sensitive market with a growing appetite for higher-priced branded goods. Then suppliers of capital goods and agricultural products and raw materials for ready-made garments and other export industries frequently sell their products through local agents experienced in working with government and industrial buyers. The trade finance here, the all exporters they require their local buyers to present and confirm LC, letter of credits, to secure payment, preferably from well-recognized bank. or any scheduled bank from Bangladesh side. It is a normal business practice for government procurement agencies to require exporters to post performance bonds, which can be arranged with a bank operating in Bangladesh. Also, you can directly sell to the government. The procedure is most government purchases in Bangladesh are through a procurement process. Technical and performance standards are established, tender notice published, and proposals reviewed in a structured manner by Center Procurement and Technical Unit under Ministry of Planning. So maybe with the proposals first reviewed for technical compliance, and for those that pass the technical review on
Okay, so I think we lost Mr. Alam. And I'm glad to see that Dr. Dola is back. So Dr. Dola, I'll give you the floor.
Dr. Dola, you're still on mute apparently, or we can't hear you. You're still muted. Normally in the right corner, right top corner, you have your mic. It should be crossed out. You can unmute it yourself normally.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay. So it was unmuted, but for some technological problem, sorry about that. While I'm audible and everything is okay, I just want to mention that what is happening, I just want to establish some logic around what is happening with the Bangladesh economy and with respect to Belgian companies. One of the important things is that Bangladesh consumer market is growing. It's a very large consumer market, and even the premium segment is now becoming large enough that Belgian companies can look at the premium part of the Bangladesh market as a feasible target for many of their products. That includes consumer brand products, be it chocolates or be it some of the premium consumables. That's one side. Another is the consumer market also enables the healthcare market to open up. So Belgium has many companies in biomedical devices and biotechnology. These are important areas where you can enter. Again, the premium segment is open. And I think because of the overall size of the economy, the premium part is also becoming reasonably large. And every year it is becoming larger at a much faster rate than the GDP growth. So if the GDP growth is about 6% or 7%, the premium segment is growing at 20 to 25% because it's like the emerging of the tail. So that brings up new opportunities. And I would say that Bangladesh premium market is now large enough to have feasible businesses through either some kind of partnership or trading model or some other kind of distribution type of model where entry can be established and then gradually manufacturing and other things can follow subsequently. So I think that from the consumer side, it is a very lucrative opportunity for those who look at it earlier rather than later. Another part of it is what I call the efficiency market. So there are many things that Bangladesh does. One of them is Bangladesh has a huge agricultural industry, and this requires upgradation, improvement in productivity. So improvement in productivity requires selling of technology. So on the technology side, I think there are many appropriate technologies that are being feasible now, becoming feasible based on our economy and our ability to pay. So that means that agriculture is one where agricultural productivity starting with animal feed, then fertilizers, all on the what I call the value-added segment of it. So we have the basic activities in these activities. They're quite large and elaborate, but there is also a value-added segment that is emerging, where I think Belgian companies can target to enter into those through some kind of understanding of price point and appropriate technology. Then there is the machineries market for the garment sector. So garment sector is very huge. And I feel that there are many opportunities for moving up the value chain for Bangladesh, which is what most of the Bangladesh garments businesses are trying to look for. Improvement of garments productivity, as well as moving up the value chain in terms of doing more value-added products. So here, I think a lot of your technologies become very relevant. And then some of the other improvements are connected to the broader government activities, namely dredging and marine, in which we feel that you have a lot of capabilities. I think marine, dredging, as well as river management, port management technologies are becoming very important. Bangladesh has many river ports. Then there is river transportation. I think transportation management services. A lot of services are missing in the system, which I think we are ready for, because the volume of activity is large enough to be able to afford these technologies. So higher end service technologies from marine, riverine, as well as dredging, I think are going to be very important for Bangladesh moving forward. And these are large ticket items. These are $500 million, $250 million opportunities that are available. Another area is, of course, transportation and mobility and technologies connected to that. Because now that we have this population that is now able to afford more things, so all things connected to transportation and transportation services are becoming critical for the economy to be able to move to the next level. So one angle that I would say that Belgian companies should look for are things that actually enable us to earn more, because then we can pay for it. Because there are a lot of things which are not accessible because of price point issues, but where it comes to business productivity, then the clear business case is visible. And those are the areas where they can enter now, because Bangladesh economy, as we are moving to the next level, will have to be based on efficiency and upgradation of productivity. Here, we feel that Belgian companies can do a lot. Also, in terms of IT technology in sector-wise businesses. For example, IT technology for optimizing garments factory productivity. Now, because garments factories and garments business is itself almost a $40–45 billion activity, all kinds of efficiency activities are already visible that are connected to IT services in this business, so that we can make these businesses more productive. So I think those companies can also reach out. Smaller service-related companies can reach out to be part of the Bangladesh productivity and value chain upliftment journey. So this is from my side. I think the opportunities are huge, both from the consumer market evolution and the premium segment, and the other direction is what Bangladesh already does, the major economic activities that Bangladesh do, be it garments, be it agriculture, to upgrade the productivity of it. So these are two big forces through which lens Bangladesh can be looked at, where economic opportunities are there between Belgium and Bangladesh. This is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dola. Normally we would have taken the Q&As at the end, but because some people have some internet issues, somebody's asking you if you can elaborate a bit further on the dredging opportunities.
So dredging opportunities are basically out of the fact that we are having flooding issues. We are having massive water management issues. So the way it should be organized is based on where the challenges are, because there you can highlight the next level of evolution. So it requires a little bit of study in terms of, say, what happened in the recent floods. And if it is based on the current problems, and here I would say that if we do the research properly, I think it will be a much easier argument, because many things are happening because the river bed is not properly dredged. So whatever we are doing currently requires improvement. And that is the big argument, whereby I think the showcase can be made that, look, this could have been prevented. It's about identifying current pain points and using that as a selling point to say that here we can come in. So whatever you are doing currently, here is how we can up the game.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dola. It was really very interesting to have your business insights. So now I would first give the floor to Mrs. Brunilde Descamps and Mr. Jerry Edmonds. I don't know who will speak first. So they are Flemish people who are living for a long time and work and live in Bangladesh.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I can, or Brunilde, you want to go first?
You can go first, Kerry, no problem.
Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, everybody, hello. So my name is Gerry Edmonds. I am from Limburg in Belgium. So normally we speak Dutch, and here in Bangladesh, of course, we speak English. I am in Bangladesh permanently now 7.5 years. Before that, I was traveling around in Asia. So I came to Asia in 2001, so that's now already more than 20 years. My background is in logistics, but I came to Asia to work in the apparel. So as you know, Bangladesh is very famous for apparel. And here in Dhaka right now, I manage a buying office, a German buying office. And we mainly work for Lidl in Germany and Damar in France. Here I manage 60 people, 60 local people, Bangladeshi people. It is very enjoyable managing in Bangladesh. So I have managed everywhere in Asia, and I have to say in Bangladesh, it is a little bit more easy, I have to say. Everybody speaks English. Everybody is educated, so that is very positive to say. What is also important in Bangladesh when you manage is that people have respect for foreigners and people are interested in different cultures, and that also makes our job more easy. And of course, it is also how you manage the people by yourself. So it's a little bit give and take. But I have to say, in general, working in Bangladesh is a nice thing to do. People are friendly. We don't have any special issues left and right. You would say, okay, Europeans and Asians are different. Yes, of course. But you have to adapt also in the new country, which we also do. If you come to manage in Bangladesh, you have to know we are here with Muslim people, so they have a different religion, different habits. For instance, the regular prayers are going on. You have to respect that. You have to let that happen, and you have to understand that. So when you make meetings, certain timings must be respected. So all these things come here in your daily job. The life in general here, for me as a Belgian, it is still relatively cheaper to live here than in Belgium. Not so much for the rent, I have to say. The rent are always going up. So I remember I started here with 50,000, 60,000 taka, which which was then about 500, 600 euros. But now we are already moving more than double. We are into 130, 150,000 taka for a 2-bedroom, and it is still going further up. So that is the main cost, I have to say, when you live here. But for the rest, it is, in fact, it is quite feasible to have a good living here, not too expensive. The social life is of course totally different than in Belgium. So here you cannot go to the pubs, to the cafes. There is no alcohol. They don't do that here. So that you would have to leave. There are clubs, of course. We have German club, Dutch club, etc. There you can do that. There you also meet a certain kind of people, the foreigners. And that is not really to mingle with the local people. We try to do that after work with sports events. So I myself am very sportive, and I introduced here also football evenings with the people. They respect that very much. They enjoy. Now, especially now with this FIFA World Cup, you will see that in Bangladesh, you would think that there are only 2 teams participate, Brazil and Argentina. So everything is yellow and blue here, and that is very enjoyable to see. So these things, you would think that these are 2 Bangladeshi teams. So these are the nice things that we witness here. In short, if I would have to say what is the real positive thing, for me, it's certainly also the weather. So it is never really cold here. It's very interesting and workable to live here from that side. Of course, we have the dry season, wet season, but that's not such a big thing. And of course, you also have a good airport, good connections. You can fly to many places. You have medical care. You have United Hospital. You have Evercare. So these are very renowned centers where you can go for your medical needs. From the other side, what would be the real burden? In fact, yeah, it is the traffic. So everything to do with traffic. We are living here in a big city, Dhaka. We have more than 20 million people here. And yeah, we are not used to that in Belgium. We don't have that in Belgium. So if you come to live here, so be prepared to be in a sea of people everywhere, and cars and motorbikes and rickshaws and everybody in the road, and small roads. So I live in Gulchan, small roads. They are also building everywhere. Construction is booming enormously here. So you have new buildings, new people coming to Dhaka all the time. So it gets very busy here. But still, in general, I would say that Bangladesh is one of my most interesting experiences if I compare it to other countries, India, Sri Lanka, China, where I have been. Then I have to say that here it is really nice to live, to work, to manage here in Bangladesh. In general, yeah, we have the shops. Can you buy the things? We have imported shops, imported goods in shops, of course. The foods, they are quite expensive. Import duties are there. So you tend to go to more local food also. You try local food in Bangladesh, very good. Unfortunately for me, spicy. I cannot eat so much spicy. But you try, and step by step you adapt to this local things, of course. Yeah, it has been already told before about the power cuts, the energy crisis, etc. So this is something you will have to get used to when you come to Bangladesh. That is also in the other surrounding countries. Suddenly the electricity will be cut, but we have generator, so it only takes a few seconds, and then it goes back. So normally you will not, but you have to get used that these things can happen. So that is. It is a little bit better than before. I have noticed that it is not happening so many times anymore. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. Some days not, some days a little more. That you would have to get used to. Maybe for the business, what we are doing here. So apparel is still the #1 export from Bangladesh. And there are reasons for that. We have the capacity and we have the workers. We have 4.4 million workers in apparel working here. There is no other Asian country at this moment from the same level price-wise than I speak that could offer that besides China. So I think that we are quite good for the next coming years, 3-5 years still. That would be the #1 export item. Although, as has been said before, pharmaceuticals, electronics, IT, the car industry, so all these new sectors are coming up or being looked into, and that also makes it very exciting to look what's happening here in this country, which is developing quickly, very quickly sometimes. And then we are looking forward. That's my last point. Politics-wise, so new elections will come not so soon, but we think January 24. So there is a little bit tension in this country, but okay, that is in all countries around the elections. So yeah, so let's see how it proceeds. But in general, I have to say, as a foreign manager, I'm quite happy to be here in your country. Your people are so nice, so friendly, English talking, and it is really good. And you can manage here properly. You can get many things done in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Yes, Brunhilde.
Yes. Can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Okay, so I will just start talking then. Good morning in Europe, good afternoon here in Asia. My name is Brunhilde. I'm based here in Bangladesh for the past 21 years. I'm living here with my family, including my 3 daughters. I've been working throughout the time that I'm here in Bangladesh. I have worked in the textile industry, the RMG sector, as we call it, and as you heard already a few times this morning, I have been working both in a factory and also in a sourcing office. I worked mainly with Scandinavian retailers, and since February this year, I work for Auchan, which is a French hypermarket. I work as a country manager for South Asia, so I'm responsible for Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and also Ethiopia. We have a sourcing office. We do not have any stores in this region. The fact that we are combining all the South Asian countries under the regional hub of Bangladesh is something quite unique because some of the other retailers, they have the combination Bangladesh, Pakistan, or India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. But for us, we have all the 3 countries together. So we have satellite offices in India and Pakistan, but they are reporting to Bangladesh. And this is working very well. We have a very good working matrix and intercultural. There is no difficulty. So given the past between Bangladesh, Pakistan, or India and Pakistan, this combination of these 3 is for us working very well. From Bangladesh, we source everything that we can but food. So of course, it's mainly garments and also home textile, but it's not limited to that. We are also buying shoes here. We are also looking into electronics, small electrical appliances, but also televisions. We are looking into LED light bulbs. We are looking into food containers, other plastic items. So it's quite a lot of things that we are buying from Bangladesh. This morning, you have heard already a lot of speakers who presented you with figures, with a lot of different with a good insight on what is happening here in terms of the economy. But I wanted to present to you some of the points which are important to me while doing business here in Bangladesh. So I call them the soft factors. And they have been, since the very beginning that I'm living here, they have been always striking me, and they still do. And the first thing that came to my mind when I was preparing this presentation was that we have a very strong hierarchy here in Bangladesh. And this is something that we are not used to in Europe. So you have throughout the different levels in the society, you really have this very strong hierarchy, and people are calling you also all the time sir and madam. So in the beginning, it was for me something that I really had to get used to. Yeah, so you have always someone below you and always someone above you. So it's not, how would I say, the dynamics when it comes to the work floor are therefore a little bit different. So usually people do not express themselves always towards a higher ranked person. So it's something that when you work here, you really need to try to deal with this in a very subtle way, because people are not used to this. Another point which I wanted to share with you, that literally everything is possible here in Bangladesh. There is a lot of flexibility, not only from the workforce, because we have seen that there are a lot of young people who are active in the market, who are working. So that itself gives already a lot of flexibility, but also when it comes to development. So what if you have today an idea, tomorrow, so to speak, you can start working on it. So companies, they have a lot of flexibility in terms of this development. I want to give you a very practical example of something which I experienced recently. I'm moving the office, and we have a size here of around 10,000 square feet, hosting 55 people. And in September, I decided that we should move the office. I signed the contract, and next week we are moving in a building where there was nothing. There was no floor, there was no air conditioning, no electricity, nothing. So within this very short time span, we have been able to build and construct everything. And that's really thanks to the flexibility of the people and the companies here. The next point is a yes here is not always a yes. So sometimes when you go into business meetings and you think like, wow, I had a fantastic meeting, and I'm sure that this deal will work. But sometimes in the enthusiasm, in the midst of everything, they say yes. But then sometimes you realize that the yes, or the actual yes, is actually not coming, or sometimes never coming. So this is also something that you need to take into account. So you have to take sometimes things with a pinch of salt, because people can be very enthusiastic and confirm you something, but then in the end, it just doesn't work. The business community here is relatively small, despite the large population that we have. We see that in the business, you actually run into the same people time and again. So people are very much linked, even competitors of each other. They always know everything from each other. So if you place somewhere an order, or if you start working with someone, everybody will know immediately. Also, if there is any development, this kind of news spreads very quickly. But having said that, the business community here is very highly resilient. So despite the COVID situation, or despite any environmental issue, we have a very resilient business community. People themselves, the workforce, they're very resilient. So it's really something very remarkable for Bangladesh. Another point which is very different from Belgium is that a lot of entrepreneurs here, they're also often into politics. And this is something that we are absolutely not used to in Belgium. And it's it's an advantage to a certain extent because, of course, the government is trying very hard to support all the different industries. But on the other hand, it's sometimes also a bit complicated because things are really interconnected. So we cannot always take things for granted. The logic, the European logic is not always applicable here in Bangladesh when it comes to that. We already heard also from other speakers that we have a very fast and strong growing middle class. This means that a lot of people are financially much more empowered compared to before, which means that they have really the needs of like traveling, inside Bangladesh, also outside of Bangladesh, they like to travel. They have different needs when it comes to consumable products, when it comes to entertainment, they like to go out dining, they like to have a nice cup of coffee, and these are all things which are quite new. If I compare with 20 years ago when I came for the first time to Bangladesh, then I have to say there was nothing. We did not have any single coffee shop. We had very few restaurants. We had very few supermarkets, where we can see that there has been a massive change over the years when it comes to this kind of events, also but entertainment. So of course, as an expat, we also benefit really greatly from this because it makes life here much more pleasant. Another aspect of this fast-growing middle class is that we can see that the skills of a lot of people have improved a lot, and also when we talk about middle management, so in the past we saw that in a lot of if I talk about the textile industry, we saw a lot of expats here based in Bangladesh, but we can see that the Bangladeshi people have really improved their skills and that they have been able to take over that. And this is really great because it means that people really have learned that they are more efficient, that they are able actually to manage their own business. Being in the textile industry, of course, I would like to highlight that Bangladesh has world-class standard facilities when it comes to garments factories, and I can compare it with India, I compare it also with Pakistan. We are really at a different level here in Bangladesh, but also when we compare to China, because for us, I mean, for our company, Bangladesh is the second largest sourcing country when it comes to textile and non-textiles. But when we compare the facilities with China, then we are really well ahead. We are talking here about green factories, we are talking about LEED certified factories, which is really something very, very remarkable for the industry. But it's not only the garment industry, because we have a lot of new upcoming industries, and I think that there is really where we can see that there are a lot of potentials laying. As I mentioned already in the previous slides, that our company is sourcing a lot of different products from Bangladesh, but we see that there's a huge potential to increase that, because we all want to diversify from China. We want to move away. So we want to have less dependency on China, and we would really welcome if more industries, if more companies can settle and really join this I would say small movement, because we see great opportunities here. When it comes to the industry and the business in Bangladesh, we have really two big clusters. So around Dhaka and Chittagong, which is the port city. So around these two cities, and of course, I'm not talking only about the city itself, but I'm talking about the whole area around. We can see that the infrastructure and the facilities are quite well developed. A lot of efforts have been put by the government to try to decentralize this a bit, to have more industries all over the country. There are a lot of plans to set up industrial zones in different cities, in different parts of Bangladesh. Of course, at the moment, it's still a bit of a challenge because of the infrastructure which is not available outside of these two clusters. But at the same time, there is still it's also a potential, because it means when Bangladesh wants to develop other regions, there is a lot of opportunity for different industries to help developing these other areas. So that was it from me. As a last speaker, it's not always easy. So I hope that I did not bore you too much, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Brunhilde, and thank you, Gerry, also. It is really nice, I think, to hear from compatriots the love you have for the country you're living in, and the enthusiasm. So I think that can really help our companies to understand Bangladesh better. Mr. Mossadegh is back, so he will end his presentation because he was kicked out due to internet problems. If you can, because for time, oh, you're nearly at your last slide. Okay, so I give you the floor.
Sorry, I couldn't survive until the last slide. So I'm ready back. Thank you. So these are the market entry strategies. So basically, maybe this is where I left. So this is basically distribution and sales channels, selling factors, trade finance, and selling to the government. So I was discussing the selling to the government. You know, the government purchases in Bangladesh are through a procurement process. Technical and performance standards are established. Tender notices are published via Central Procurement and Technical Unit under Ministry of Planning, IMD division. So they basically review in a structural manner with proposals first reviewed for technical compliance and for those that pass the technical review on a price basis. So many companies, also the Austrian companies, joining the tender, since almost all that information are available on the website. So this is the market entry strategy for the traders. So this is the last slide that I wanted to focus on. This is based, since we are working for the Austrian companies in Bangladesh. These are the basically Austrian companies. Number one is Medel. Medel is a medical equipment company that came in Bangladesh in 2019 via Austrian trade delegation visit. So this Medel, via its local partner in Bangladesh, regularly participates in government tender. The company has already been enlisted by government of Bangladesh. The company has already established 100 hearing implants in different government hospitals and supplying hearing equipments. So until 2022, the company has sold hearing equipment equivalent to 40 million euro. So there is another company, Roxel, that is marketing paper and pulp. You know, Bangladesh paper and pulp are import-based, despite the use of paper is declining after COVID. So Roxel share major part of the market here. Roxel exports around 10 million USD per annum. So Roxel is going to set up a facility, maybe in form of joint venture in Bangladesh very soon. There is another company, Munjar Bioindustry GmbH. Munjar basically based in Europe. They make biodiesel from used cooking oil. So this company has opened another office in Bangladesh in 2020 in Dhaka. The company is collecting used cooking oil from different sources like hotels, restaurants, and food processors. This company has already been recognized by Bangladesh Food Safety Authority as the official vendor, and this company is collecting around 80 to 100 metric ton used cooking oil per month, and they are exporting to Europe for making biodiesel. So there is another company, GPS Ispat. GPS Ispat is basically a Bangladeshi company, one of the big ones. So GPS Ispat has established a connection with Primetals. Primetals is Austrian companies that signed an agreement with GPS Ispat. back in 2016. Then Primetals basically is a joint venture of Siemens and Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and partner. So Primetals is supplying of machineries for large-scale expansion of GPS Ispat based in Chittagong in Bangladesh. And GPS Ispat is importing items around that cost 500 million euro per year. So these are the Austrian companies. There are some other companies doing business. So these are the very exciting companies that I wanted to mention here. So yeah, we have challenges. Despite all these challenges, these companies, and there are some other companies doing business in Bangladesh. So thank you for the patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm happy you could also present your last slides.
Thank you.
So I will share my screen. Okay, I don't know if my presentation must be visible, I think. So as said, we are organizing a mission to Bangladesh in 2023 from 26th of March till 31st of March. The last mission we organized was in 2013, which is around 10 years ago, which we feel bad about. So we hope, because we are also believing that there are a lot of opportunities in Bangladesh. So we hope that this mission that we are organizing can be very successful. So who is organizing it? Flanders Investment and Trade in New Delhi, and then my colleague Guillaume. Normally you should be able to put your mic and your camera, and you can introduce yourself if you want.
Hello everyone. I'm not sure you can see me or hear me.
We do.
Hello, okay, great. Yeah, so Babette is in the lead. I'm in the passenger seat, but I will be the point of contact for all the Walloon companies taking part in this mission. So I will be relaying information, making sure your B2B program is up to your wishes, and conveying information regarding the mission and taking part in the logistical organizational aspects as well.
Okay, thank you. So the mission, we will go to Dhaka, which is the capital and the largest city in Bangladesh. And then we will also go to Chittagong, which Brunhilde was also saying that it's really worth going there. There's a lot of activity in all kinds of sectors. Okay, so our tentative program would be so leaving on 26th of March with Emirates flight stopover in Dubai to arrive at around 8:40 in the morning on 27th. So we would give you the time to freshen up, go to the hotel, have perhaps a quick nap. And our plan is actually to start around 2 o'clock with a seminar, and then afterwards a network event. You will see the whole program is actually we want you to connect with business people. We want you to connect with officials, but everything will of course depend on the companies who will enroll and come with us to the mission, because we wanted to have it very personalized. Then on Tuesday, we will organize B2Bs and meetings with officials. Again, it depends on in which sector you are, what are your needs, which will, of course, we will define on forehand together with you, so that you get a very useful business trip to Bangladesh. On Wednesday in the morning, again, there is time for B2Bs and meetings. We will try to organize the B2Bs in the hotel, but in case you have to go to the companies, be aware of the fact that the traffic in Dhaka is rather dense. So it takes you, when I went there in May, it was mostly like 1 hour to go from one meeting to another. But if you know that is the timing, then you don't have to be nervous about it, and you can enjoy a little bit, perhaps, the scenery on the street. Then on Wednesday, we would fly from Dhaka to Chittagong. And on Thursday, then we would like be 1 day in Chittagong. We would again organize B2Bs and meetings with officials. In the evening, we would fly back to Dhaka. And then on 31st, you can fly back from Dhaka to Brussels. So our aim is actually to give you an insight in doing business in Bangladesh, an insight in the opportunities, also try to understand the business culture, and of course, hopefully that you can do business while you're there. But if you're rather new to the country, then it will be a bit difficult probably to conclude in one mission. But at least our aim is to give you a full insight in Bangladesh, so that you can go home and it was really worthy going there. So we would organize, as I said, meetings with business people, governmental agencies, international financial organizations. Like if you're a company who is into tendering, then we will make sure you meet the right people who know about the tendering process, and then also let you meet expats living and working in Bangladesh. And as said, we would organize the personalized B2Bs. The flights and the hotels, the participant book their own flight and the hotel. For the domestic flights, it would be, we would urge you to book the proposed flights. The registration cutoff day, so the registration link will be published on the FIT website beginning of January, and then the cutoff day would be the 6th of Feb. Of course, as sooner that you register, that gives us more time to prepare your individual program. The more time we have, normally the better the program will be. So if you want more information for the Flemish companies, you write to the New Delhi office of FIT, and for the Walloon companies, you can write to the New Delhi AWEX office. Okay, so time-wise, I first of all want to thank the speakers that everybody kept to the timing. It's 4:30 now. I don't think there are more questions in the chat, but in case you would have any questions later on, please contact us and then we will link you with the persons who can answer to your question. Thank again to the speakers also for giving us this insight from all different angles. Thank you so much. And for the Belgians, have a nice afternoon. And I think for us in Asia, we can nearly wrapping up our day. Thank you so much.